Now's your chance.
Hey, what's going on, people? Jack Reeve, TalkNorwichCity here, back for another video. Hope you guys are all doing fantastically well. Propped up against Norwich Cathedral wall today. These bricks are probably very old indeed. Pre-season isn't over yet, but it's coming to a close. We've got one game left in Germany. We might have no games after you've watched this. We're playing Wolfsburg after I'm recording this. And we've got a couple of games back in England, and then it's done. The season begins at Birmingham in under 3 weeks, I think. The season is very nearly here. Anyway, these are the 5 things that I've learned so far, or think I've learned, from this pre-season. Number 1, and a very important one, the future looks very, very bright. We beat Borussia Dortmund's second team 6-0. That was with an under-23 side. Adam Ider scored 4 goals. He also scored 1 for the first team against Kings Lynn. He looks like a really fantastic striker, might get a run out this season, maybe in a cup tournament. Aston Oxborough with another clean sheet, he's bossing it. He's captaining the under-23 side at the age of 20. Fully expect a loan deal from him this season, and that whole team just looks very, very good. The Russell Martin is training with them. He's probably essentially Matt Gill's assistant. Shout out to Russ Martin, who's been dropped into the under-23 side for whatever reason. Daniel Farke clearly doesn't see him in his plans and will probably be going out for a loan move. But it shows the professionalism of Russ to go into that side, train hard, inspire the youngsters, not moan. Compare that to a certain Nelson Oliveira who hasn't travelled at all. You do suspect maybe he wasn't willing to train with the under-23s, or maybe the club weren't willing to put him in there and potentially risk injury for a man who's clearly on his way out. But on the whole, future looks bright. Under-23's doing well. Some very good players in there. Happy days. Number 2, a little bit annoyed about some of the fans' reception and treatment towards a certain Remy Matthews, who's been given the chance in goal. Yes, he hasn't had the best pre-season tour, I'm sure he'll be first to admit that, but he certainly hasn't had a bad one. He's made some fantastic saves at times. He is no Angus Gunn, we know that, but I think he's very much talented enough to slot straight in that first team. Nobody's really set this pre-season alight. Maybe on El Hernandez. Pre-season is there to get your tactics evolved and to build up fitness. Of course, form you can look into a little bit, but I don't think you can look into it too much. Ben Godfrey hasn't looked that great. He was being raved about last season. I haven't seen anyone calling for Ben Godfrey to suddenly be loaned out somewhere. I think people are comparing Remy Matthews to Angus Gunn too much. They're very different goalkeepers. The one common denominator, maybe even 2, they both love Norwich City. They're both local lads, and they're both very talented goalkeepers. I think it'd be stupid for Norwich City to go out and spend a lot of money on a goalkeeper. Danny Ward is just, or is going to Leicester for £10 million. Obviously out of our price range. He was linked with us on a loan deal. Maybe there's some German keepers I don't know about. Would they be an upgrade on Remy Matthews? I can't see it in our budget. I think if we get behind Remy Matthews, I think if we give him the support and the love he needs, he'll be just fine. Back Remy Matthews. Number 3, and we probably already knew this, but we know it even more so now, and that's that Grant Hanley is a massive part of this football team. He's been left out of the squad through injury so far, and defensively we haven't looked that great. There's been a few real defensive lapses, especially out in Germany, and you can really see why Grant Hanley was raved about so much. Was it 2nd or 3rd in the Player of the Season last year, and fans love him, and Daniel Farke loves him, and we can see why that is. I'm not so sure what formation we'll be playing next year, whether it will be a 4 at the back or a 5 at the back. Hanley will be a part of that, whether that's a back 3 of centre-backs or a back 2. He's a massive part of this squad, he's a vital part of this squad, and defensively we look so much stronger with him in there. Number 4, I mentioned it earlier, but I don't think Nelson Oliveira will be here next season. It was always going to be interesting, wasn't it? I don't think Daniel Farke has ever really seen him in his plans. He started last season fantastically well, and we know the type of player Nelson Oliveira is when his head is switched on. Swansea came in for a £12 million move for him last January. We didn't let him go because at the time we had 2 strikers, one of them being Cameron Jerome, who didn't have goals in him. It's clear that Nelson Oliveira doesn't really want to be here. His head isn't switched on, and Daniel Farke doesn't see him here. It's good that we've signed Pukki. It's good that we've signed Jordan Rhodes. At least we have backup now. I don't think Nelson Oliveira will be here next season. now depends who wants him and the price they're willing to pay. Some people saying around the £2 to £4 million mark, which seems low. It would mean taking a loss on him. We signed him for £5 million, and it's a bit of a guttering situation considering there was £12 million bids incoming last year. But if that's what it takes, and it's getting him off the wage bill, he's probably one of our top earners, then so be it. The whole striker situation in general, though, looks much more positive. Jordan Rhodes, still not fully convinced, but I think he's got goals in him. Pukki has pleasantly surprised me, and Dennis Srebeni is starting to score goals. So we've got 3 strikers there who have real potential. Probably going to be playing 2 up front. We need to score more goals, as we've just sold our main scoring asset in James Maddison. So hopefully that comes. Strikers looking a bit better. It'll be interesting to see if we go out and sign another one though, especially if we sell Nelson. And finally, I think this really is make or break for Daniel Farke now. He's had a season under his belt. He's had 2 pre-seasons under his belt to really assemble this squad now. He's had a few transfer windows. He's been allowed a bit of money now that James Maddison and Josh Murphy money has come through to go out and buy some players. It'll be very interesting to see how we develop this season. I'm willing to give it this whole season, but if we're not in the playoffs, or at least not challenging for the playoffs, I think that'll be seen as a disappointment. I'm not expecting miracles. I can't actually see too much improvement on last year. I'm hoping for change, but we've sold our best players. We've got rid of our best players. Yes, we've signed well in Rhodes, in Leitner, in Pukki, but will that be the difference? Will that make up such a difference? I'm not so sure. Big season though ahead for Daniel Farke. Slight switching system, I think. I'm looking forward to it though. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. What have you learned from this pre-season so far? Please do let me know your thoughts. Fansbet, links in the description to them. Go and sign up to them. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.